Benjamin Tyler Young has been in custody since being charged late last year. Today, the 22-year-old appeared via video link in Newcastle local court over an alleged carjacking and a police pursuit on December 21. It began around 10 a.m. at Wallsend and continued at different times along the Hunter Expressway, the Newcastle Link Road at Minmi and the M1. There, he's accused of carjacking a white Audi before continuing on the motorway at times on the wrong side of the road. At the Dora Creek Bridge, police allege Young tried to carjack 3 vehicles before ramming an unmarked police car. 2 officers suffered minor injuries in the collision. Young was arrested and later charged with a spate of offences, including assault and resisting an officer in the execution of their duties. He's now facing several additional charges, including assault with intent to take a motor vehicle, police pursuit and possessing stolen property. Young told the court he wanted some of the matters dealt with today, but ultimately agreed to seek legal representation before doing so. He'll return to court next month.
The PFAS scandal rages on. Now it's Hunter Water in the firing line. It follows revelations that a 2012 report warned the utility of the risks the firefighting chemical posed to the Tomigo Sandbeds water supply. Today, Hunter Water defended its decision to keep that information behind closed doors.
The water we provide to all of the people in Lower Hunter to consume is safe. Given that was safe, our management response is appropriate.
The Tomigo Sandbeds operate as an underground backup to the Grahamstown Dam. They have the potential to provide 20% of the Lower Hunter's water. They haven't been drawn from since 2015. The 2012 report stated the risk to Hunter Water's public reputation was extreme and the risk to public health high. A review saw those ratings downgraded the following year.
There's a slightly different view from one year to the other around a technical rating of risk, but the seriousness with which that risk was treated and the management actions that flowed from it didn't change.
Hunter Water says at the time PFAS wasn't detected in the bores. That has since changed.
Bore Station 9 is contaminated and the most recent sampling confirms that. Bore Station 7, we actually haven't had any detections of contamination, but it's very close to the base.
Those bores are now shut and Hunter Water is adamant the drinking water is safe.
We have not contaminated the drinking water that we've supplied to our customers.
Georgia Ma, NBN News.
We need to bed these things down, like we need to bed down a new timetable, and they typically do take some time for the community to respond and settling in. And in that case, there's been elements to the way in which the operator has performed, no doubt about that, and our expectation is to work with them and fix it.
A blank canvas that will soon look something like this. The mural on Hart Road, a way to remember what's now a piece of Kurri Kurri's industrial past.
This is going to be a very significant mural, especially with Hydro's involvement and the nature of what the mural is, which is commemorating the life of the smelter, if you like.
After 40 years of production, Hydro's aluminium smelter was mothballed in 2012 with 400 jobs lost. Kays Beach artist Daniel Joyce has been commissioned to capture that history.
Pretty honoured and privileged to be chosen to do this.
He's no stranger to painting murals in the town, having recently completed a fitting tribute to NBN personality Ian Beat Hill.
I'm just looking forward to getting into it. The hardest part of any project is the start.
Once complete, it will be Curry's 61st mural. From businesses to houses, there's no escaping the unique paintings all over the town. The colourful collection, a drawcard for tourists.
We come to have a look at them because I've heard about them being done. Going back about 13 years ago when these mural projects started, we decided we could make it a tourist town. And what could we do? Well, we make it the biggest mural town in mainland Australia, and that's exactly what it is.
And that looks set to continue with another big project planned this year. Renee Feder, NBN News.
It was last seen within the Charter Stowers area between 3 a.m. and 11 a.m. on the 31st day of December.
Despite losing 2 players to injury, the Central Coast was in control until Rose received his second yellow. Post-match, Ocon was livid.
Did we see Patricio Rodriguez's tackle on Jake McGing, the 2-footed tackle on halfway? No yellow card. So Newcastle didn't get 1 yellow card tonight. We get 3.
Ernie Merrick admits his side was poor in the first half.
We were playing lazy, safe football. There was a lot of long balls. We were giving the ball away. Our crosses were high. We weren't playing through the midfield.
He didn't wait long after the break to introduce Rodriguez.
I couldn't take any more of the game after the 50th minute, so I put him on, I think, the 54th minute, and I said, just pace yourself, although I don't normally say that. And to me, he changed the game for us.
The Argentine import showcased his impressive array of skills as he made a big impact. With the Mariners down to 10 men, the Jets took advantage. Rodriguez had claims for a penalty, but the deadlock was finally broken as Steven Ugarkovic teed up Dimi Petratos. Glenn Moss earned praise from the coach for several crucial saves, while former Jet Andrew Houle earned a 5th yellow this season and a 1-game suspension. Rodriguez then became the 11th Jet to score on debut. Newcastle will now prepare to host Brisbane on Friday. As for whether Rodriguez is a chance to start...
No, he's not a chance to start. He's definitely starting.
For someone accused of swerving all over the road, Luke Daniel was ducking and weaving at court today. The 39-year-old eventually walked with his face covered. What do you have to say about the charges? This is the footage which landed the 39-year-old in court. Accused of being behind the wheel of this Nissan Skyline GTR on December 17 last year, which was filmed weaving in and out of traffic on Cessnock Road at Gilliston Heights, forcing other drivers to swerve out of the way. How would you describe your driving? The footage, shared on social media, quickly caught the attention of police. Daniel was charged with both dangerous and negligent driving, overtaking to the left of a vehicle and not keeping left of a dividing line. But the 39-year-old may soon face even more accusations. The court heard several of the pending charges relate to drug driving offences and that test results are yet to be returned. They're expected before Daniel is back in court next month. Is there anything you'd like to say at all? In the meantime, he's suspended from driving. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
Now's the time to prepare your house, clean gutters, make sure your roof's in good repair, and make sure any garden furniture or things in the backyard are tied up and tidy.
They've endured as best they can, but for many animals at Shortland wetlands, the recent extreme weather was simply too much.
It's very hard to watch. A lot of our young egrets are dying because of the heat stress.
Unable to cope with the weekend's scorching temperatures, dozens upon dozens of the water birds fell victim.
Since yesterday morning, we've rescued 30 birds and we've seen another 30 die.
And with little rainfall in nearly 6 months, their waterways have all but dried up. Parents gone as well, leaving young birds all alone. Many are finding their way to nearby houses and straight into danger.
These birds are very naive. They don't know to look out for cats or dogs, to keep off the roadways. We're asking everyone in Shortland and Sandgate to keep an eye out for them. If they find them, look after them, tell us.
Wetland staff are doing their best, rescuing as many birds as possible and providing temporary water supplies. But the only long-term saviour is rain, and plenty of it.
Egrets are the canaries of the wetlands. If they're dying, it means our wetlands are dying.
Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
There's no bond like the one between mother and child. But for 6-year-old Taylor Loschek and his mum Rebecca, theirs is truly unique. This task, a daily routine, helping relieve pressure in his skull. Behind his bubbly demeanour, Taylor's tale is one of incredible bravery. He lives with a condition affecting 1 in a billion. Something that's now become the centre of a special charity ride by his uncle.
My nephew Taylor suffers from undiagnosed syndrome and craniosynostosis, and a part of that means that he requires invasive surgeries, has had 13 of those so far in his young life.
Ben McMillan is on a mission. Over the next 3 days, he'll ride more than 800 kilometres from Melbourne to Adelaide to help raise money for Taylor's ongoing medical care, as well as highlighting the rare syndrome which affects sight, hearing and bone development.
People say, wow, what you're doing, it's huge. How can you do that? And I say, well, it's nothing compared to what Taylor endures.
Ben will set off tomorrow alongside 9 other cyclists. If you'd like to help support Taylor and his family, just visit our website. Talia Sarv, NBN News.
Josh Rose's send-off left Paul Ocon seething. But Daniel Georgievski believes the Central Coast has nothing to complain about.
They were clear-cut yellow cards, you know. I wouldn't expect someone like Josh with all his experience to, do silly fouls like that.
The Jets defender was involved in an incident with Andrew Houle, which earned the Mariner a 5th yellow card this season. Georgievski spoke to the Mariners coach about it after full time.
I just said, well, control your players' discipline, that's really it. You know, things like that happen in football, frustration and, it's a part of the game. You just have to try to take control of that.
The Jets certainly aren't apologising for taking the 3 points.
We didn't perform to our best of our ability, versus Sydney we definitely showed a much better game, but versus Central Coast I think we underestimated them a little bit. But we finished off our chances, they didn't, and 2-0 we'll take it.
Georgievski says they won't underestimate the struggling Raw tomorrow. Argentine import Pato Rodriguez was expected to replace Joey Champness in the starting 11, but the short turnaround means his fitness will be monitored right up until kick-off.
Any player that comes in is there to do a job, and I think Pato's a bit different in where he plays, so we're definitely going to adapt to that, and I'm pretty sure he's going to show something spectacular tomorrow.
Ben Kantarovski is still out with a hamstring complaint, but he's expected to be available for the round 17 clash with Wellington.
We had to work hard and try and get that point back, and we did in the dying minutes of the game, and I think that's what we can pride ourselves on, is that we work hard right till the end. Playing as a fullback and getting forward and creating havoc up the top is something that Deansy wants us fullbacks to do, and I was given the chance to do it, scored a goal from doing it, so yeah, that's what I'm looking to do in the next few games.
A Commonwealth Games star alongside potentially a future one.
I didn't expect I'd be back doing triathlon, let alone the Com Games trials. So, it's pretty surreal.
Well, she's bloody good, mate. The way she did it, I've never seen before. 12 months after her accident, to be in the sort of the mental shape and the physical shape that she is, mate. She's a bit of a hardcore athlete.
On Sunday, Lauren Parker will line up in Melbourne for her first para-triathlon, competing for a berth in the Gold Coast Games. It's a 750-metre swim, 25-kilometre handbike and 5-kilometre wheelchair race. She'll need to post a time under 2 hours and finish in the top 3.
Yeah, it is an unknown. I don't know what to expect, but I'm as ready as I can be. I love to be back racing. Training and racing is what I do, what I love, what I've always done. So it's a part of me. It's where my happy place is.
Parker now trains with Kurt Fernley under coach Andrew Dawes. Fernley's charging towards his farewell games, setting a host of new personal best times along the way.
The idea that I get to pull on the green and gold at home, I haven't done that in 18 years. The first time I did it as a 19-year-old in Sydney was just an incredible experience, and to feel it for, what I intend on being the last time in the green and gold, it's just, it's a really exciting experience again.
Before he gets there, he'll be looking for his 12th Ausday 10K title. Then it's off to the Tokyo Marathon in February. But the Gold Coast is never far from his mind.
When you get into your later 30s, you start to think that there is a top end to that part of training, but it's still there, and the enjoyment's still there. So that's the main thing as well.
Samuel Jordan, NBN News.
Living up to its hype, New Space is a hub of business minds this weekend. Nearly 400 delegates flooding in from 35 countries for the university's first major international conference.
So it was wonderful welcoming everyone to Newcastle so they could see how great Newcastle is as a city.
While the world-class facility in an emerging city drew the Western Economics Association to town, the Dean of Newcastle Business School, Maurice Altman, says it wasn't the only thing.
You need the facilities, but you attract a conference because you have a business school with reputation.
Nobel Prize laureate Dan McFadden gave a keynote address on the methods to find out what consumers want and benefit from. Techniques he says New South Wales businesses, academics, even the Premier's office have adopted.
Part of the reason we're talking about this subject here is basically to encourage and caution the users of these techniques.
New Space isn't just attracting international delegates. The university has seen a 10% rise in the number of students wanting a degree from its business school as their first preference.
Having a campus positioned in the city itself, I think, has the potential to draw more international students.
Immigration and the wine industry among the topics tomorrow. Georgia Ma, NBN News.
They're the husband and wife team whose Muswellbrook home is a sanctuary for native animals. Brad and Julie Smith from Wildlife Aid treat each and every one like family. And the love is mutual. At the moment, it's a full house as they work to rehabilitate dozens of animals.
I've got 29 joeys on bottles, 2 baby wombats and 2 baby possums.
Hot, dry weather in the Upper Hunter has made for a busier time than usual for Brad and Julie. They say the conditions are forcing some animals to go searching for food, especially near roads, while others are suffering heat stress. The dry weather also making it difficult for carers themselves to source food.
We don't have any feed at all, same as all the farmers, they don't have any feed either, so I've got to go into town every day and collect 2 big shopping bags full of grass. And it's getting harder and harder to find because of being so dry.
This baby brushtail possum was brought into care after her mother died from the heat.
Dear little thing. Yeah.
Brad and Julie are urging locals to keep an eye out for all native animals. They say residents may find them in their yard looking for food and water. If anyone finds one, they can contact Wildlife Aid. Renee Feder, NBN News.
Winding their way to centre stage.
The kids love seeing our reptiles, even though they're I guess scary to some people, but yeah, they're fascinating animals.
These curious siblings can now call Blackbutt home. The 2-month-old olive pythons donated by Wildlife Zoo in Sydney following the theft of 16 reptiles last year.
It happens, I guess, and it's unfortunate, but we're back and going to be better than ever.
It's exciting news for visitors as the much-loved reptile show gets back on its feet in February. The pint-sized pair to be joined by another new addition which is already striking a pose.
Who do we have here?
We have Shelby here. She is a Centralian bearded dragon, so she can be found in the deserts of Central Australia, really.
Staff say even more reptiles will arrive over the next few months.
At just 50 centimetres long, this little guy may not look too intimidating just yet, but will eventually grow up to 4.5 metres, making the olive python the second largest non-venomous snake in Australia.
But if that's not enough to deter someone from another smash and grab, Council warns the reserve has undergone an extensive security upgrade.
We've got upgraded security on the windows, so just slow access down, and also CCTV.
Talia Sarv, NBN News.
It was really good for the kids, and it really put Newcastle on the world stage. It was wonderful. It has been such a big part of my life, and something that I was very passionate about, and so proud to be able to give so many students and young people the opportunity to see the world.
They're the two favourites for the MVP crown and the two players most capable of winning their side the WNBL Championship.
She's a tough one, but you just got to play straight up, and she's going to get her points, and you just got to keep boxing her out, keep hustling, doing whatever you can to try and stop her.
I think it is one key, but we're not just focused on Liz. Liz is a big body; she's going to get hers. But in terms of other people, it's not just the Lizzie show. It's going to be other people that we need to slow down, and obviously it's going to come down to team defence.
The Townsville captain instead says the key to a third title in 4 years is much simpler.
At the end of the day, for us, it's just about collective basketball on the offensive end and on the defensive end, and I think that makes us really strong.
Without fanfare, the 37-year-old also ended any further speculation about her playing future.
One day, I'd love to go out on a championship, but in terms of am I going to continue? Yes, I'll be playing next season.
I think we were all super excited, especially because we all had so much fun doing it. Like, it was such a good atmosphere.
And on our home turf too.
Yeah.
Billowing black smoke on the horizon, a sure sign of a nasty situation beneath. On the ground at Tomago, fire crews rushed to warn residents.
The conditions are just so dry that any ember out there is igniting something, and that's our concern at the moment.
A lightning strike ignited the fire during a storm on Monday. With no threat to homes all week, fire crews had been managing the small outbreak.
Everything was okay, but we had the wind change and the hot, dry winds today, which caused the fire to get out of control.
Residents along Cabbage Tree Road hosed down their properties, fearing the worst. The fire licking dangerously close to properties, while fire crews positioned themselves at critical vantage points. The fire was upgraded to an emergency warning around 1:30 this afternoon. It's estimated there's 30 to 40 homes in the area affected. Helicopters worked from the sky, but by mid-afternoon, the Rural Fire Service dispatched its heavy artillery. By 3 p.m, Williamtown residents were told to take shelter as the fire roared towards the airport, forcing the cancellation of all flights.
Now we have NBN reporter Georgia Ma live on the ground at Williamtown Airport. Georgia, what's the latest on this fire tonight?
Kate, well, the fire is still burning out of control, but in the last 10 or 15 minutes, it's actually been downgraded to a watch and act level. As you can see here at Williamtown Airport, it's just been raining, so there could be reprieve on the way for firefighters and residents. The fire is now moving in a north direction towards Raymond Terrace and the Campvale area. Tonight at 7 p.m, it's expected a strong southerly is going to be picked up. As you've just heard, the airport was closed this afternoon and it's expected to stay that way until further notice. Kate.
An early morning hot air balloon flight that didn't end well. Police say it was carrying 15 passengers when it attempted to land near Camp Road at Greta, but struck a bush around 7 o'clock.
We responded a number of resources, including ambulance rescue unit, Westpac rescue helicopter.
6 people were injured in the crash, 2 seriously. They were airlifted to John Hunter Hospital by the Westpac rescue helicopter. An 80-year-old woman suffered multiple fractures and is in a serious but stable condition.
She was in a lot of pain. She was given some significant pain relief. Basket was on its side. Patient was suffering from a fractured femur, so upper leg injury.
While a 24-year-old woman was treated for suspected spinal injuries, she remains in a stable condition. 4 others received minor injuries. 2 were treated at Maitland Hospital but have since been released.
Balloon Safaris told NBN News it was an unfortunate incident, saying it was an otherwise safe landing until the wind picked up, making it hit a shrub and land hard.
It's believed the company will refund all 15 people on board. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau will conduct an investigation into the accident, which will include interviewing the pilot of the balloon and other witnesses. The Civil Aviation Safety Authority will also perform its own review.
If we need to, take action against either the operator or the pilot if they have broken any safety rules or any other relevant regulations.
Renee Feder, NBN News.
In the light of day, evidence of the party that was. A backyard littered in rubbish. It's fair to say it wasn't the get-together Billy Field had planned for his birthday.
Yeah, it was my 18th and it was pretty wild, got a bit out of control. But yeah, it was a good night.
A night that ended in the arrest of 2 teenagers. Police were called to the Toronto property around 10 o'clock last night following a noise complaint. They say when trying to move the group on, bottles were thrown at officers and a police car damaged.
My mates weren't really doing anything wrong. It was just the people that weren't invited. They just turned up and just a gate crashed and just been mouthy and stuff to the neighbours.
The birthday boy said he invited 60 to 70 of his mates and that number quickly spiralled to 200 revellers. This morning, little regret was given by the teenager, but he did say he was shocked to hear a gatecrasher was allegedly caught carrying a knife.
That 17-year-old boy was also charged with assaulting police, as was a 15-year-old girl who'll be dealt with under the Youth Offenders Act. Meanwhile, Billy was issued with a noise abatement order.
Do you regret having the party last night?
I don't regret having the party, but I regret the stuff that happened at the party, definitely.
Georgia Ma, NBN News.
The crowd had come hoping to see Newcastle's marquee winger Pato Rodriguez start, but it was their makeshift one who made the difference.
He's a great athlete, he's great at running forward, he knows how to get in the box because he was an attacker striker when he was a youngster. He gets forward, he gets back, he covers a lot of ground, he does a good job and scored a terrific goal. Unlucky not to get 2 actually.
It was Hoffman's third of the season, the only goal of the night, and not for a lack of chances.
It was good that we created so many chances, but we just didn't finish off. It was always like half a metre away.
Rodriguez played the second half and looked dangerous, but he was targeted heavily, one challenge placing him under an injury cloud.
There was a 2-footed tackle on him that I thought was disgraceful, but they didn't go through the VAR and have a look at it. He was nailed properly. His socks all ripped and he's hurt his ankle. He struggled to run. I didn't want to take him off.
He'll benefit from the long turnaround to next Saturday's fixture against Wellington. Merrick happy for his side to have a break after 4 games in 2 weeks.
They're very, very tired, and it's pretty hard to switch yourself on for 95 minutes when you're that tired, but I thought they did a good job.
A touching moment from the Newcastle crowd, a minute's applause in memory of Amy Dolly Everett.
I think the girls know what they need to do, but sometimes you have a bad half and it hurts you. So it's just about regrouping and working for next week.
I have full confidence that these guys can go all the way in this tournament, but I thought the only way we're going to do that is if we take it game by game.
The Final Four had already booked their place in the national finals, but North Shelley, Avoca and 2 Merewether teams were all gunning to claim the local crown. Jack Sylvester made a good start to that for the home side, so too did Morgan Sibilic, surfing in their second team. But it was North Shelley who set the pace, Saxton Lumsden on his game, to give them a slight advantage at the first change. There were small waves on offer, but at times they didn't cooperate, Shelley seeming to be in that right place at the right time. Dane Atchison helped Avoca back into the mix, while Jesse Adam helped the locals consolidate second, but there was no catching North Shelley. In the end, posting a comfortable victory.
Let's go to the Aussies and win that one again and go ×2.
The women's final was a much closer affair. Merewether and North Shelley again battling it out. Philippa Anderson boosted the home side into the lead. But with the way Jess Grimwood was surfing, they were never far behind. Merewether taking a slight lead into the final stages, but it was so close that finishing first had extra importance given the points on offer. Merewether taking a narrow win.
An overnight reprieve for fire crews, and while conditions may have eased at Tomago, overnight rain did little to help the firefighting effort.
It did take a lot of heat out of it, but it put a dampener on our attempts to undertake some backburning. So early this morning, crews have been out backburning around some of the areas of the fire.
Thick smoke sent billowing over much of Port Stephens.
The fire is currently burning to the western side of the main runway at Newcastle Airport. There is, of course, the chance that the airport could be closed today given the fire conditions.
But as predicted, conditions worsened as winds increased. Crews set to battle the blaze well into the night and are now in a race against time.
Crews will be working extremely hard over the next few days trying to get around this fire ahead of that deteriorating weather that we'll see around the end of the week. High temperatures are predicted again.
Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
Residents in Port Stephens are tonight facing yet another bushfire emergency with strong winds fanning a blaze at Tomago. Live to reporter Meredith Gibbs, who's at the fire ground. Meredith, what's the situation there?
Kate, conditions are still worrying fire crews who have a long night ahead of them. Joining me now is Brendan Gazzard from the RFS. Brendan, what's the situation at the moment?
Well, Meredith, at the moment the fire has crossed Richardson Road at the intersection of Grahamstown Road. We currently have crews up in the properties up there around Wade Close and Harvest Place doing property protection. We have had the very large air tanker come in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes ago to drop some retardant lines in across the back of those houses. Fortunately for us though, the fire intensity has dropped since it was earlier this afternoon and we are putting in place strategies at the moment to contain that fire in that area.
Now, we have a severe weather warning for damaging winds in place. We could get gusts of up to 90 kilometres an hour. It is quite breezy out here at the moment. How's that going to affect this evening?
At the moment, we're not expecting it to create too many dramas for us. It certainly will affect the fire behaviour and will affect the fire direction as the wind blows. That's the way fire is. But at the moment, as I said, fire intensity has dropped and it is quite windy out here at the moment. And crews are working in place. We'll be taking that into account with our strategies as we move into this evening.
Brendan, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate your time. Well, Richardson Road is still closed between Medowie Road and Benjamin Lee Drive. Now, this just caps off yet another busy day for fire crews and residents.
It's a pick-up from any point to any point within a defined zone. Warners Bay, Dudley Beach, up to Charlestown, Mount Hutton.
Both teams featured several big names, but the battle between Batkovic and Liz Cambage took centre stage. The Boomers' centre started well. But the Novocastrian was up to the challenge. Batkovic finally opened her account in the second quarter. The reigning MVP struggled to find her rhythm before reaching a milestone. The pair continued to trade blows as the lead changed hands several times. Susie would finish with 16 points and 15 rebounds, as well as some psychological victories. Cambage led all scorers with 26, but the Fire drew first blood.
Worn out a little bit. It was definitely a grind of a game. Obviously, it was physical throughout the whole 40 minutes, but just so happy we got game one, and I felt like everyone stepped up at different times.
It's really exciting to be back racing, and it's what I love, and to finish my first race, it feels so good, and especially to have all my support here cheering me, it definitely made me go harder.